correction from our previous discussion about Jesse and Ashley Ridgway and company. That piece I was citing from the Federalist, Federalist.com, written by Sean and Rachel Campos Duffy's son-in-law, married to their daughter Evita. I think I mispronounced his name. I guess I did. Michael Alonzo. His name's Michael Alfonso. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, and text from 312, and he's running for Congress in Wisconsin. Yeah, I heard that. Actually, I heard that was a little bit controversial, sort of on the nepotism front. But he's running in that open seat to replace Tom Tiffany, who is, of course, running for governor of Wisconsin. Anywho, all right, moving on to, or back to, California. This was a topic of discussion, the fact that Spencer Pratt went from being in the runoff less than a week ago to now facing a 3,000 vote deficit against Nithya Raman at present. And of course, the ballots are still being received. So there's still ballot reception and counting to occur. 7 days after the election, mail-in ballots can be received in California, among many of their peculiarities when it comes to the administration of elections. And this is where Trump and Kristen Welker in his Beat the Press sit-down really got into it, leading Trump to say, okay, that's enough.
There's tremendous evidence. There's nothing but evidence. The election was rigged. It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's happening again right now in California.
Presented evidence.
It's happening right now in California. Right now it's look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's
the
4
Republicans
days.
Are doing well in
California. It's no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days. And they aren't even close to coming up with it.
You
know why they're doing that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
all
that?
All I have to do is look. Evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about...
elections in this country. We're like a third world country. Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But, Mr. President...
You're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits, because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain.
I know.
I've sat in the rain for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press, because you know what?
Mr. President,
a country can never be great with a dishonest press.
We traveled all the way to
the center of the earth. Yes, I came all the way to flyover country for this. Yeah, it's a sad story. The whole evidence, talked about this a bit of the show. You have no evidence. You have no evidence. The entire system is the evidence. The entire system, which is designed to be open to fraud, is the evidence. And then there are specific examples of it. In addition to the fact that there's no interest in election authorities in ascertaining any evidence of voter fraud. And then when, say, for example, First Assistant U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley wants to come in, Department of Justice wants to come in and do an audit of the state's voter rolls, do a review of the count and the mechanisms for counting, then the state of California goes to court to prevent them. So that you don't have any evidence, we're not looking for it, and we're going to prevent you from trying to obtain it. But you don't have any evidence. Not exactly good faith, you know what I mean? John Fund had a good piece in National Review I mentioned earlier. The Los Angeles County Registrar of Voters says its overall approach to ballot validity is, quote, liberally construed in favor of the voter, unquote. That's a fun phrase. A very large number of ballots are therefore automatically approved, and the rejection rates in L.A. County are a fraction of what they are in neighboring counties. You also have the ability to cure ballots. In addition to, as many people have documented now, including Bill Asaley, the First Assistant U.S. Attorney, a gym membership ID will do for obtaining a ballot. And frankly, you don't even need to. You can just have him, you just wait till ballots are drop shipped to you or an address near you. Also, the issue of signature verification with the mail-in ballots. Los Angeles uses machine scanners to compare signatures on mail-in ballots to all signatures in a voter registration file. In California, each county sets its own threshold for ballot authentication. Ballots that meet or exceed it are automatically approved and rarely get a manual review. Sometimes even ballots that are initially rejected or flagged for scrutiny can be cured if a voter corrects any faults. Moreover, a voter who claims to be unable to sign can make a mark instead. A witness is then supposed to sign below. However, a former LA election official admitted to me, John Fund, that no address for the witness is requested and that witnesses' signatures are not verified. So what's the point of the witness? There is no point. It's the appearance of safeguards, not actual safeguards. Republican gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton was on with Maria Bartiromo yesterday.
It's because they're still counting ballots?
Well, it'd be lovely if someone could explain how the process works, because to most people it seems completely insane. Yes, still counting ballots. There's two things going on here. You've got the late arriving mail ballots. You're allowed to vote by mail, and as long as you post it by Election Day, they count it up to 7 days after Election Day. That's next Tuesday, so that's one category. But the bigger category is the fact that you've got still millions of ballots in these vote centers that are sitting there right now in boxes not being counted because the people in charge have no energy, no pride in getting this done quickly. It's typical of California under Democrat rule. They can't build a bridge. They can't clear the homelessness. They can't run an election properly. Last week, I actually put forward a plan to try and accelerate this process by surging people to these vote centers to get a quick result. But look, the most important thing is that actually we're very confident now that we'll be in the top two. There's not really any realistic possibility for the billionaire climate fanatic Tom Steyer to catch up. That means that in November, Californians will have a real choice. Another 4 years of this insanity that's given us the highest cost of living in the country and all the other problems we see, or a new direction towards common sense, lower taxes, cutting the bloat in our government. That's what I'm offering.
Yeah, but with all due respect, they're not worried about Steve Hilton in general. They are worried about Spencer Pratt. For more on this, Scott McKay, publisher of the Hayride, thehayride.com, senior editor of the American Spectator, and author of the new book, Blockbusters, which is available at Amazon. Scott, thanks for joining us as always.
Hey, thanks for having me. But let me confess that my violin is not small enough to play for Kristen Welker.
Oh, gosh. Yes. She traveled all the way to Wisconsin, Scott. I mean, please,
to
come on.
Wisconsin? Oh, my God.
The ends of the earth for this interview.
I'm thinking of Harold Ramis's line in Stripes, like, I got the poop kicked out of me in Wisconsin. So did Kristen Welker.
What about California and what Republicans can and should do if this Spencer Pratt defeat stands?
Well, I don't know that Californians can do anything. I think it's a Justice Department show at this point. I don't have an answer for this, but my suspicion is it has been a very, very, very long time since California cleaned the voter rolls. And yes. I go back to the Carter-Baker Commission in 2005, which is sort of the gold standard set of recommendations on election integrity. And, the two things that really stand out from their report was, you've got to keep the voter rolls clean. And then the second thing was, under no circumstances do you use mass mail-in ballots, because it's impossible to maintain election integrity when, you're doing that. I mean, when one party controls the post office, which generally speaking certainly is true of the Postal Service in California, certain neighborhoods are going to have ballots lost in the mail, and other neighborhoods are going to have lots of ballots. The other thing is that if you're just postmarking ballots on Election Day, who knows when those things are actually put in the mail, right? I mean, you know how many votes you need, and then that night on Election night,
yes,
you get a whole bunch of ballots show up, and it magically produces – a 40% margin for Rahman all of a sudden when she was at 24. And you go ask the people who calculate odds, and they're like, yeah, this is like 11 trillion to 1 that this would happen that you're at 24 and now you get 40% of the other ballots. And
everybody stays basically static and you surge. When there's no sort of natural constituency or basis, you're just another leftist like Karen Bass, but she's bobber in the water and you're surging 7 points.
And there are people out there trying to defend this, and it's like, why are you beclowning yourself on behalf of Nithya Raman?
Right.
Look, it was always very, very likely that Karen Bass would beat Spencer Pratt in the runoff. Okay, it's Los Angeles, but Pratt could have done some serious damage over the course of the next 5 months.
100%.
And so it is not a surprise that all of a sudden Nithya Raman would be the mail-in ballot queen in Los Angeles. That is something that was entirely foreseeable by people who would have been called conspiracy theorists for foreseeing it. Well, and lo and behold, it has happened.
Yeah, but it was not foreseeable from Nithya Raman, who was a puddle of tears on election night. So, the interesting thing about that is I don't think, she's behind it. She doesn't have the wherewithal. I think the government unions are behind it because they're going to have their girl, the government unions and the, sort of the affiliates. They're going to have the matchup that they want in the general election. And if that means they have to get creative with Nithya Raman's vote total, then that's what they're going to do.
This was always about engineering, communist versus communist in the jungle primary runoff in California. That's the purpose of the jungle primary in California, was to get two Democrats at the top of the ballot and make the elections essentially Soviet elections.
Right.
And Hilton gets in the way of that. Pratt gets in the way of that. They really can't do anything about Hilton, but they certainly can about Pratt. And Trump is not wrong. Does he have specific evidence of this? And the answer is, well, not yet. But are these guys capable in California of fully hiding the vote fraud that is clearly going on there? We'll find out.
With drop boxes, it certainly makes it easier.
Well, everything about the Dropbox, ballot harvesting, mail-in ballot situation, everything about that is inherently lacking in integrity. And every study of election processes and and election integrity has come back with mail-in ballots being the absolute worst possible way to do elections. And time after time after time, this gets proven because it takes forever to count the stuff. There's a million different things that are, and then the other thing is the Democrats absolutely categorically refuse to clean the voter rolls. And everything flows from trash in the voter rolls, whether it's dead people, whether it's people who've moved away. And in California, you're talking about an absolute bonanza of dead lines on the voter rolls of people that picked up and moved to Vegas or Arizona or Texas or whatever, and they're still on the voter rolls in California, and all of a sudden they start voting Democrat a lot because the ballot goes. And then the other thing is everybody lives in an apartment, so people move all the time, but they still get a ballot sent to their old address, and somebody picks it up, and it gets, that ballot gets voted on.
Well,
this is how it's done, and if you don't clean the voter rolls, it's going to continue to be done that way.
Adding to the featured attractions in the midterm election, the Nazi from Maine, the Al-Qaeda collaborator from New Jersey, we may have the it girl for this cycle, Daralisa Avila Chevalier for Congress in New York City. She is backed by Mamdani. She was out celebrating the slaughter of 1,200 Israelis in Gaza on October 8th of 2023.
Who is the terrorist? Who is the terrorist? The United States of America. We feel the Palestinian blood. We feel the Palestinian blood. And we stand in solidarity with Palestine. We have the historic responsibility. We have the historic responsibility of defeating
She seems nice.
Stupid communist, gonna stupid communist.
Yeah, but I mean the larger branding for that party, or the branding opportunity for Republicans on that party.
It's like, you may not like us, but après-moi le déluge, right? Like, I mean, this is what's coming. If you think they're going to treat you nice, you might want to think again.
Uh-huh.
And the thing of it is they are now a party that expressly hates the American people and Western civilization. I mean, you can't really put it in any other way than that. I mean, these people, and they used to talk about the norms when Biden was the president, and now there's not a norm in American society that these people don't utterly despise, and openly so. And it's a virtue signal for them as to how much they hate regular, ordinary America. And I mean, bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works for you. I mean, I have a hard time believing that at the end of the day, the American people are going to look at the Democrat Party and say, yeah, let's give them control of the House or Senate. I just maybe I'm an incurable optimist, Dan. I don't think this works. I don't think Graham Plattner works. I don't think Talafrico in Texas works. I don't think this El Sayed guy in Michigan works. This woman in New York City might very well win, but I don't think that works when she gets to Congress and joins the squad. I just don't see it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely taking the party in a decided direction that becomes abundantly clear even to the passive observer, I would hope. Scott McKay, publisher of the Hayride.com, senior editor at the American Spectator, and author of the new novel Blockbusters, which is available at Amazon, so pick it up. Scott McKay, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
See, Dan, y'all have a great week.
You too. And Scott, join us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer. Hear sound teaching from God's Word from Dr. David Jeremiah on Turning Point. Each weekday morning at 9:30 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Your kitchen's outdated.